When it comes to knowing if someone is capable of committing forever, it's not the fireworks that give it away. It's not the passion in the first few weeks, the romantic words, or the intoxicating rush of attention that sweeps you off your feet. Those things can feel amazing, but they don't necessarily translate into something lasting. The truth is, the strongest sign of someone who's in it for the long haul is consistency over intensity. You see, anyone can turn on the charm for a few days or even a few months. Anyone can send flowers, take you on a spontaneous trip, or whisper grand promises of what life will look like together. But what really matters is what happens after the excitement fades. When life settles into its normal rhythm, when there are no Instagram-worthy moments to show off, do they still show up in the same way? Do they still care about the small things when no one else is watching? That's where commitment is revealed. Consistency is about patterns, not peaks. A person who's serious about you doesn't just tell you once in a while that you're important. They demonstrate it over and over through their actions. They text you not because it's convenient, but because they genuinely want to check in. They make time for you even when they're busy. They don't disappear for days and then come back with an excuse and a bouquet of roses to cover up the gap. They're steady. They're reliable. They're the kind of person you can lean on because their words and their actions line up. And here's the thing, consistency builds trust. Without trust, no relationship can survive. It's easy to confuse intensity with commitment. Someone can sweep you off your feet and make you feel like the only person in the world, and then disappear when the high wears off. That's not commitment, that's entertainment. Intensity is exciting, but it doesn't sustain you. Commitment is quieter, less flashy, and sometimes so subtle you almost miss it. It's when they remember how you take your coffee. It's when they call to ask how that meeting went at work because they know you were nervous about it. It's when they show up for the little things, not because they expect applause, but because it matters to them that you feel supported. When someone is consistent, they make you feel safe. Not the kind of safe that's boring, but the kind of safe that allows you to relax, breathe, and be yourself. You don't have to constantly wonder if they'll change their mind tomorrow or if you'll wake up and realize their words were empty. Their steadiness gives you the freedom to open up and trust is what makes long-term love possible. Without it, you're just clinging to a roller coaster of highs and lows, never really knowing where you stand. Think about it. If you were building a house, would you choose a foundation that looks impressive for a day and then crumbles, or one that quietly holds everything together for years without drawing attention to itself? That's exactly what consistency is in a relationship. It's the foundation. It doesn't need to be dramatic. It just needs to be there, solid and dependable. The people who commit forever aren't the ones who make you feel like you're in a movie. They're the ones who make you feel like you're home. Their love isn't about a grand entrance. It's about showing up every single day in ways that may seem small, but ultimately mean everything. And when you start to notice that steadiness, when you see that their actions are not just a burst of effort, but a continuous rhythm, that's when you can begin to trust that this isn't just for now, it's for forever. One of the most overlooked but powerful signs that someone is ready to commit forever is in the way they speak about the future. Words carry weight, and when you listen closely, you start to notice whether someone naturally includes you in their plans or whether their vision of tomorrow is always centered around themselves. It's not that they sit you down and make a big announcement about wanting you in their 5-year plan. It's more subtle than that. It's in the small moments when they say things like, "Next summer, we should take that trip." Or, "When we get that place together, this would look great in the living room." Those little sentences may not sound like much, but they're clues that you're not just a temporary chapter. You're part of the story they're writing for their life. Commitment isn't about what someone promises in a grand gesture under candlelight. It's about the future they see when they're not trying to impress you. If every plan is I and never we, if every dream is theirs alone, it tells you where you stand. But when their language shifts and suddenly their horizon isn't just theirs anymore, that's when you know they're mentally building a life with you in it. That's the language of someone who sees permanence, not just presence. It's also important to notice the balance between words and actions here. Someone who speaks about a shared future and then follows through with behavior that aligns with those words is someone you can trust. They don't just talk about introducing you to their family, they actually make it happen. They don't just joke about how you'll spend holidays together, they start coordinating them with you. These actions show that their words aren't empty promises, they're glimpses into a reality they're actively shaping. Now, let's be honest, there are people who use future talk as a way to charm. They'll throw around phrases like, "We're going to do everything together," just to keep you hooked. That's why consistency matters. Do they still include you in their plans after months, after challenges, after life gets messy? Because genuine commitment doesn't vanish the moment it becomes inconvenient. It stays, it adapts, it grows. The words, "we" and "us" aren't just tools to keep you around. They're an authentic reflection of how they see you in their world. Think about how it feels when someone paints you into their vision of the future. There's a deep comfort in knowing you're not just a placeholder, not just someone they're enjoying until something better comes along. Instead, you're part of the picture they're excited to create. That's the difference between being in a casual situation and being in something meaningful. A person who commits forever doesn't just look at you as someone they're with today. They see you as someone they want to wake up next to 5 years from now, someone they want to build traditions with, someone they can count on as they pursue their dreams. It's subtle, yes, but powerful, because when someone sees you in their future, they start making decisions differently in the present. They think about how their choices affect you, how their opportunities align with your life, how both of your goals can fit together instead of competing against each other. That's not just love, it's partnership, and partnership is the heartbeat of forever. So when you're wondering whether someone is capable of lifelong commitment, listen carefully to how they speak about tomorrow. Do they plan only for themselves, or do they naturally fold you into their vision? Those little words are the breadcrumbs that lead you straight to the truth. Because someone who's going to commit forever doesn't just live in the moment. They're already carrying you with them into the future they can't wait to share with you. One of the biggest indicators of whether someone is truly capable of committing forever isn't found in the good times, but in how they handle the difficult ones. Conflict is inevitable in any relationship. You can't spend years with another human being and not clash at some point. What separates someone who's only here for a season from someone who's here for life is how they respond when things get tough. Do they shut down? Do they avoid the conversation? Do they get defensive and turn every disagreement into a battle? Or do they stay, listen, and actually try to understand where you're coming from? Commitment isn't proven when everything feels easy. It's proven when challenges arise, and instead of running away, they choose to work through it with you. When someone is serious about you, they care more about resolving the problem than about winning the argument. They value the relationship above their ego. They're not just interested in being right, they're interested in making things right. That doesn't mean they're perfect or that they'll never get frustrated. But it does mean they'll fight for the relationship, not against you. They recognize that you're on the same team, and when they argue, It's with the intention of finding a solution, not tearing you down. There's a subtle but crucial difference between people who avoid conflict and people who resolve it. Someone who avoids conflict may seem easygoing at first. They let things slide, they don't complain, they laugh off issues. But over time, unspoken frustrations build up, and eventually that silence explodes into resentment. Someone who's in it for the long haul knows that sweeping problems under the rug doesn't make them disappear. It just creates a bigger mess later. Instead, they lean into the uncomfortable conversations because they know the relationship is worth the discomfort. The way someone handles conflict also shows you how safe you are with them. If disagreements turn into threats, stonewalling, or emotional withdrawal, it tells you they're more interested in control than connection. But if disagreements turn into deeper understanding, compromise, and growth, it shows you they're invested in building a life that's stable and lasting. When you see someone willing to sit with the hard feelings, listen to your perspective, and find middle ground, you're looking at someone who knows what it takes to sustain forever. Think about it. Anyone can love you when you're laughing, when things are light, when romance is easy. But the true test is whether they still choose you when you're hurt, when you're angry, when you're not at your best. Forever love isn't built on avoiding the storms. It's built on weathering them together. And every time they prove they're not going to disappear when conflict shows up, they're showing you they have the resilience and maturity needed for lifelong commitment. The beauty of healthy conflict is that it actually deepens connection. Every time two people work through a disagreement with respect and understanding, they come out stronger on the other side. They learn more about each other. They gain more trust. They realize that challenges don't mean the end of love, they mean the beginning of growth. That kind of partnership, where conflict isn't feared but faced together, is the very definition of commitment. So, if you're trying to understand whether someone will commit forever, don't just look at how they treat you when the sun is shining. Pay close attention to how they behave when the storm rolls in. Do they retreat into silence? Do they lash out? Or do they reach for your hand and say, "Let's figure this out"? That choice in the heat of disagreement reveals everything. Because love isn't about avoiding conflict. It's about choosing the person again and again, even in the middle of it. And when someone consistently chooses you in those moments, that's when you know you've found the kind of commitment that can truly last a lifetime. If you want to know whether someone is capable of committing forever, you have to look at what they invest. And I don't mean just money or gifts. I mean effort, thought, energy, and attention. Anyone can say they care. Anyone can say they love you, but real commitment shows up in the way they consistently invest themselves in the relationship without being asked, without it feeling like a chore, without it being about what they'll get in return. The truth is, we all make time for what matters to us. No one is too busy for someone they see as part of their future. If you're a priority, they'll prove it through their effort. Effort is one of those things that can't be faked for long. At the beginning, someone can put on a show, but over time, their real patterns surface. A person who wants to be in your life long term doesn't just make an effort when it's convenient or when it benefits them. They show up even when it's not glamorous. They remember the things that matter to you. They support you in your goals, even if it means sacrificing a little of their own comfort. Their investment isn't about grand gestures. It's about the little ways they show you that you matter every single day. Think about the difference between someone who occasionally surprises you with something flashy and someone who consistently pays attention to what you need. The first one makes you feel good in the moment, but the second one makes you feel safe for a lifetime. For example, someone might buy you an expensive gift once a year, and sure, that feels nice. But someone who notices when you've had a hard day and shows up with your favorite snack or simply takes time to listen is showing a deeper level of investment. They're telling you, I see you, I hear you, you matter. The effort also reveals itself in the way they prioritize you. Life will always be busy. Work, responsibilities, stress, they never go away. But someone who's serious about committing forever will carve out space for you even in the middle of all that. It doesn't mean they'll drop everything all the time, but it does mean you'll never feel like you're fighting for scraps of their attention. You'll know you're part of their life in a real way because they make sure you feel included and valued. Here's the key: effort isn't about obligation. It's not about someone doing things for you because they feel they have to. It's about them wanting to. It's about them finding joy in giving to you, in making you happy, in supporting the relationship. That's how you know it's real. Because when effort comes from the heart, it doesn't feel heavy. It feels natural. It's just who they are when they love you. And that investment isn't one-sided. Someone who commits forever also invites you to invest in them. They share their struggles. They let you in on their dreams. They want you to be part of their journey too. They're not trying to build a life alone with you on the sidelines. They're building it with you piece by piece, step by step. That kind of effort creates partnership, and partnership is the bedrock of lasting commitment. So when you're trying to figure out if someone is capable of lifelong commitment, ask yourself, do they invest? Do they put in the time, the energy, the thought? Do you feel seen, valued, and prioritized in their actions? Because effort is love in motion. And when someone keeps showing up, keeps giving, keeps making sure you know you matter, you're not just looking at temporary affection. You're looking at someone who's ready to commit forever. Respect is one of the clearest and most powerful signs that someone is capable of committing forever, because without it, nothing else lasts. Love may draw two people together, passion may ignite the spark, but respect is what keeps the fire burning over years. When someone respects you, they see you as a whole person, not just as someone who fills their needs in the moment. They value your opinions, your choices, your dreams, and your individuality. They don't try to control you or mold you into who they want you to be. They love you while also giving you the freedom to be yourself. That balance of closeness and independence is the true foundation of lifelong partnership. Respect is subtle, but you feel it deeply when it's there. It shows up when they listen without interrupting, when they take your concerns seriously, when they remember the things you've said and act on them. It's when they treat your time with the same value as their own, when they support your ambitions instead of downplaying them, when they encourage your growth, even if it takes you in directions that challenge them. Respect says, I don't just love who you are when you're with me. I love who you are as an individual. That kind of perspective is what makes forever possible, because it allows two people to grow together without losing themselves. Think about the opposite for a moment. Someone can shower you with affection, but if they belittle your opinions, ignore your boundaries, or dismiss your feelings, that love will eventually feel suffocating. Love without respect turns into control. Respect, on the other hand, makes love safe. It creates a space where you can trust that your voice matters, that your needs won't be pushed aside, that you won't have to shrink yourself just to keep the peace. That sense of equality is what transforms a relationship from temporary to lasting. Respect also reveals itself in how they handle your boundaries. A person who's not serious about you may test or push against what you're comfortable with because they're more focused on what they want. But someone who's ready to commit honors those lines without making you feel guilty for setting them. They understand that boundaries aren't walls, they're invitations to build trust. And the more they respect yours, the more you'll naturally open up to them. That cycle of mutual respect is what builds a bond strong enough to stand the test of time. Another layer of respect is how they treat you when you're not at your best. It's easy to be kind when everything is going smoothly, but real respect shows in those moments when you're tired, frustrated, or vulnerable? Do they speak to you with patience instead of contempt? Do they support you rather than criticize you when you stumble? Those moments tell you everything. Because if someone can respect you in your weakest state, you can trust they'll be there when life inevitably throws challenges your way. It's also important to see how they speak about you to others. Someone who's truly committed doesn't just respect you privately, they honor you publicly. They don't make jokes at your expense. They don't talk down about you behind your back. And they don't undermine you in front of friends or family. Instead, they defend you, they uplift you, and they make it clear to the world that they value you. That public respect is just as vital as the private because it shows consistency of character. At the core, respect is love expressed in action. It's not just a feeling, it's a choice repeated every day. And when someone consistently demonstrates that they see you as their equal, as their partner, and as someone whose individuality they treasure, that's when you know you're not just experiencing fleeting affection. You're experiencing the kind of bond that makes lifelong commitment possible. One of the most powerful signs that someone is capable of committing forever is the emotional safety they create for you. Love is not just about attraction, romance, or passion. It's about whether you feel safe enough to be your real self with them. Emotional safety means you don't have to put on a mask, you don't have to filter every word, you don't have to walk on eggshells, wondering how they'll react if you show them the raw and unpolished version of you. It's about knowing you can share your fears, your dreams, your doubts, and even your insecurities without being judged, dismissed, or made to feel small. When someone is serious about committing, they put effort into making sure you feel secure in the relationship. They don't make you question whether they'll disappear tomorrow. They don't leave you constantly guessing about where you stand. Instead, they give you consistency, reassurance, and openness. They create a space where you feel you can lean on them, not just in the good moments, but in the difficult ones too. And that is the kind of environment where love doesn't just survive, it thrives. Think about how different it feels when you're with someone who doesn't give you that safety. Every conversation feels like a test. Every argument feels like a risk. You find yourself holding back, not out of love, but out of fear. That's not what commitment looks like. Commitment is not about creating anxiety, it's about eliminating it. It's about building a bond so strong that you know, even if you disagree, even if you struggle, even if you show the parts of yourself that aren't perfect, they're not going to weaponize it against you. They'll hold it with care. Emotional safety also shows up in the little things. It's in how they listen when you're venting about your day. It's in how they respond when you share something vulnerable. Do they dismiss it or do they lean in? Do they laugh at you or do they comfort you? Those subtle moments tell you more about their ability to commit than any grand declaration ever could. Because a person who truly commits forever is someone who knows your heart and treats it like something precious, not fragile but worthy of respect. The beauty of emotional safety is that it allows love to deepen in ways surface level passion never can. When you feel safe, you reveal more of yourself. You let them see the layers most people never get to see. You give them access to the parts of you that are tender and real. And when they meet that honesty with care instead of judgment, the bond between you grows stronger. That kind of intimacy is what sustains a relationship through the years, long after the initial spark has faded. And let's not forget, it goes both ways. Someone who's truly ready to commit forever will also be vulnerable with you. They won't just create a safe space for you, they'll step into it themselves. They'll share their fears, their doubts, their hopes, because they trust you too. That mutual vulnerability becomes the glue of a lasting partnership. It creates a rhythm of giving and receiving that makes both people feel deeply connected and understood. So, when you're asking yourself whether someone will commit forever, look beyond the charm, beyond the gifts, beyond the romance. Ask yourself, Do I feel safe with them? Can I bring my whole self into this relationship without fear of rejection or ridicule? Because forever isn't built on constant highs, it's built on trust, understanding, and emotional safety. When someone makes you feel that way, day after day, in small ways and big ways, you don't just have love in the moment, you have love that lasts.